Could someone please explain what is happening here? Hold on, did we just hear that Jim Jones's son was jailed again? This time, the controversy isn't your usual one. It's a love and hip-hop level chaos. You didn't think it could get any stranger. After the endless back and forth that has been Jim's family drama, did you? Then came the arrests and scandals. But just when you thought the Jones family couldn't be more shocked, another bombshell hit. This time, it's a son involved in a disaster so terrible that even Mama Scott is making. If you thought this family was all about music and reality TV drama, you're in for a nightmare when one of the most shocking scandals in hip-hop and love history is revealed. Headlines. Not Jim Young could have planned it. You won't believe the latest twist that has been revealed. Why was he arrested? What does this mean for the entire love and hip-hop franchise? Is this a failed marketing stunt or something? Stay tuned. Because what you're about to hear will make you doubt everything. Jim Jones's son has just set the stage for a much deeper fall from grace that could rock the reality TV world to its core. A curse known for his erratic public behavior, Jim Jones is currently dealing with the consequences of a legacy he left behind. His son, Otis' son, has now brought things to a whole new level of disaster. Imagine this, just as Jim's son was about to rise above the shadow of his notorious father's reputation, he has been dragged into a scandal so sinister that it could change everything, including an arrest for illegal drugs and a turbulent run-in with the law. Love and hip-hop rocked once more. Jim Jones's son is arrested. This isn't a joke or just a headline. It's the real thing. Let's take a moment to recognize how serious his situation is. Jim Jones is just another reality TV star. The world is watching every moment of his current state, and he is a walking disaster. He has always pushed boundaries, whether they were his own. He started arguments, got into fights, made enemies, and proudly raised the flag of controversy through his gritty street demeanor or his loud public confrontations. However, let's be clear that he is not the only person who has been living under Jim. Jim probably tried to protect his child from the chaos, but it seems that he has fallen into the same problem. Let's take a moment to look back a few years, because the truth is worse than anyone could have imagined. A few weeks ago, fans were actually starting to applaud Jim's son because he seemed to be living his best life on Instagram, building his own reputation, and trying to escape the shadow of his father's fame. Now, the same young man is facing criminal charges. And believe me, this is not some minor arrest. This is a major controversy that has been leaked. It's chaotic, and it's the kind of story that demonstrates that life isn't always as it seems. Let's get into the specifics. Jim's son has reportedly been growing up to reputation. Insiders said that he had engaged in some very dubious activities that no one could have predicted. We're talking about drug use, likely some shady business dealings, and a wild night out that turned into something far more sinister than anyone had anticipated. It wasn't a minor incident. Rather, it was a major catastrophe. And worse, his actions weren't just his own. He was allegedly using his father's name to conceal complaints, and rumors started to circulate that Jim's son was caught red-handed in a situation that no one, especially a reality TV star, should ever find themselves in. We're talking about a brawl with police officers that got so out of control that it was captured on several cameras, but the drama doesn't end there. According to police reports from that evening, this was a deliberate action. The shocking facts that will leave you speechless have been leaked. Worse, by which I mean that Jim's son reportedly started using foul language, demanding special treatment, and using his father's name as a kind of get-out-of-jail-free card. It seemed like a scene from a reality TV show with a script, but it was real life. And police also found that he was in possession of illegal drugs, which sparked a full-fledged scandal that, let's face it, no one saw coming, least of all Jim's child. It's hard to even understand that Jim Jones is supposed to be this legend and this symbol, but look at us now. The internet is exploding with fans' reactions to the news, but let's face it, they're also kind of enjoying the drama because, let's face it, that's what we live for these days. Scandal, controversy, chaos. People who love the mess but hate the truth that it's coming from someone they believe could have saved it. What happened to success to serve as an example for his son? Instead, Jim has always straddled the line between being a bad boy and being an outright troublemaker. Now that we are parents, we need to carefully consider the legacy Jim is leaving his son. His son is currently jumping in front of millions of people. And let's not even talk about the family dynamic. Jim's son was reportedly upset after the arrest, claiming that his father had failed to help him. Can you believe that this is the same Jim Jones who has been on television regularly? And to top it all off, his son is physically freaking out because his father failed to help him. Since the only thing that is growing at the moment is the list of controversies that have been connected to the Jones name. To make things worse, we have heard from sources that Jim has been actively involved in concealing some of his son's behavior. It seems like this family is about to fall apart, and no one is helping them. However, there is more to the story than that. We'll go into more detail about the repercussions of this arrest shortly. As word of Jim Jones's son's arrest spread like wildfire, it quickly became clear that this wasn't Jim Jones isn't exactly considered the most law-abiding citizen despite his success. Every time you look around, there seems to be another headline about him or his group. This is just another case of public outrage and the potential legal repercussions that are directly coming toward Jim and his son. When you're dealing with the child of one of the most notorious people in the hip-hop industry, you're dealing with something far more serious, dangerous, and, dare we say, explosive. Jim Jones's son, a little-known individual up until now, has been linked to a number of street rumors and whispers for years, but this arrest served as the catalyst for those stories to escalate into something far more serious. However, what happens when that same behavior carries over to the next generation? The diplomat's causing mayhem in one place, his colorful past, his history of notoriety, and his public conflicts with police authorities. According to police leaks, the arrest itself wasn't a simple miscommunication. Rather, it was the result of Jim Jones's son being caught red-handed in the middle of a highly illegal scheme. The details are troubling, as eyewitnesses describe him as the ringleader of a group that was allegedly selling drugs and firearms using illegal means. He is rumored to have been combining work and pleasure by hanging out with the wrong crowd, and participating in gang-related activities that would make even the toughest rapper reconsider. Jim Jones, the so-called hip-hop legend, was not far behind the chaos of the hip-hop industry as a cover that was disguised as a simple family get-together. According to our sources, Jim was present at the scene of the arrest and watched in shock as his operations took place. Is this the legacy that Jim Jones hoped to create? Everyone was shocked to learn that the man who had always presented himself as his family's best protector was suddenly unable to stop his own flesh and blood from being dragged through the dirt while his child was handcuffed and taken away. There have been rumors that Jim was upset about the arrest. Some insiders claim that Jim was upset not because his son was arrested, but because the media had the gall to portray his family negatively. Others believe that Jim Jones may be more involved than he admits, because his family has a history of trouble. This was all part of a larger conspiracy that quickly gained momentum and street credibility. According to those in the know, Jim has always had a darker side that has been hidden beneath the exterior effect pads of success and notoriety. Now, let's talk about the arrest itself. Eyewitnesses on the scene have described chaos, but it wasn't just the police that caused this high-stakes drama. Fans, media representatives, and even other members of the hip-hop community witnessed it. Shortly after, social media was inundated with first-hand reports of Jim's son attempting to use his father's name as leverage, claiming that he could avoid incarceration because of his father's identity. His tone was almost sarcastic. He claimed, "Do you know who my dad is? I can't go down like, what does all of this mean for Jim Jones in terms of his career legacy and public image? Let's just say that things aren't looking good even with the rumors, whispers, and street chatter." Jim Jones's most loyal fans are starting to question whether his son is simply carrying on his father's legacy, or whether this is a case of generational failure, where the father's transgressions are perpetuated. This could have been an act of arrogance, or perhaps it was just the naive confidence that comes from growing up in a society where you are exempt from the law. The producers of the show hurriedly released a statement expressing their disappointment at the incident, but they declined to comment on whether it will have an impact on the upcoming season. One thing is certain, though. The show's ratings will soar, but at what cost? Speaking of the show, sources claim that the producers were unprepared for the kind of drama that even they were expecting. The season of hip-hop and romance just made the consequences more serious, which is inevitable, and will get much worse before it gets any better. Fans are eagerly awaiting answers, and the producers are aware that they are dealing with a delicate situation. Will Jim's son end up being the next villain on the show, or is this his redemption arc? Even if the accusations against his son turn out to be false or unfounded, the damage to the family's reputation has already been done. What does this mean for Jim Jones personally? How will this event play a significant role in future episodes? Has been the bad boy of hip-hop for his entire career, but it seems like he might be dealing with a problem that neither fame nor money can fix. The family conflict is leaking into the public eye, and there is no way to hide it. However, as the days pass, the public's outcry gets stronger, and they want to know how far the controversy will go. Will Jim Jones support his son, or will he sever relations to protect his career? When things get bad, only time will tell if his loyal fans will stand by him or turn their backs on him. As more information about Jim Jones's son's imprisonment comes to light, the public's outrage is reaching a fever pitch and the narrative has gone haywire. This is not just a simple arrest. It's the collapse of an entire enterprise, and the effects are already being felt outside of the Jim Jones family and the music industry. Could this controversy have legal repercussions? Repercussions that we haven't even begun to imagine yet. Examine the response in greater detail first. First, we need to talk about the suspicions that there might be legal repercussions. According to reliable anonymous insiders, Jim has been under pressure, and some people think that this could be the beginning of the end for his empire. Jim's son's family is rumored to be facing serious charges, not just an arrest, but accusations that could bring down an entire network of people. The public cannot tell if this is all a setup or if there is a larger conspiracy at play. The music and film industries are no strangers to scandals, but the real shocker is coming. Could Jim Jones himself be the target of investigations? Could his business empire be built on a legacy of his street cred and tough guy persona? Jim Jones could lose everything, including his music brand and authority investigation for months of numerous other questionable activities, many of which may have been connected to his son's behavior. Insiders claim that Jim Jones may be at the center of criminal activity that goes far beyond street connections. Investigators have linked him to drug trafficking and money laundering, and his son's arrest has drawn attention to the fundamental foundations of the hip-hop industry. If Jim is involved in anything, you can be sure that it will not go unnoticed. Rumors about his partnerships with questionable individuals, underground transactions, and dirty money have always circulated within the hip-hop culture. Could this be the moment when the truth is revealed, and everything will collapse like so many others? The public may demand answers because of the family's involvement, and Jim and his son may be asked to explain how far this rabbit hole runs. Jim's son, despite the criminal accusations, has been strangely silent. What is his side of the story? Is he being kept silent by someone more powerful? Or is there a part of the story that we simply don't know? If it is, there may be serious legal repercussions, and the investigation may become a full-scale scandal with governmental organizations looking into everything from tax evasion to foreign connections. Don't yet know he knows something that he isn't disclosing. Could this whole situation be part of a larger scheme planned by someone with even more authority? These questions remain unanswered, and the tension is rising as the internet is rife with theories, rumors, and accusations about what's really happening. Fans and critics are examining every aspect of the story, with some arguing that Jim has already begun to distance himself from the situation, while others believe he's getting ready for a public confrontation that will be both nasty and humorous. In an age of instant access to information, nothing remains the same. People are discovering long-forgotten interviews, deleted social media posts, and questionable relationships that could link Jim Jones and his son to some of the most sinister aspects of the entertainment industry. Now that mainstream media is receiving more stories from those mysterious anonymous sources, we can only speculate as to how far this story will go. The question is whether Jim is going to turn on his own son, whether a public betrayal is imminent, or fight back and reveal all those behind the scenes. What will happen to Jim Jones, his son, and the millions of people who have supported them over the years if everything they've worked so hard to build suddenly collapses? How far will the impact affect Jim's family? Only time will tell if Jim will lose his family, his job, and everything he has worked for. However, for the time being, the world is either forced to face the truth or face its consequences. The question is whether we're just getting started. Could there be more disclosures coming? You can bet that the entertainment industry as a whole and the hip-hop scene will never be the same after the controversy. You have it. The shocking revelations, the unbelievable turns, and the disintegration of Jim Jones's world in front of our eyes. But the question remains. Nothing could be more bizarre than the genuine truth, which could be around the corner. As you wait for the next part of this explosive story to come to light, or someone else will take the fall for him. What do you think? Do you think Jim Jones has been hiding even more deadly secrets? Is his child a victim of this mess? Or is there something more sinister at play? What is next for the Jones family, and who will survive? The internet has been ablaze with rumors. Now it's time for you to weigh in. Are you ready to learn the shocking truth? Let us know in the comments section below. I promise you missed the upcoming spectacular upgrade. If you haven't destroyed the notification bell to be the first to help determine when the next chapter will be released, stay tuned for this stunning scandal, because we have only just begun. Before you do you remember to hit that like button if you continue to be astounded by what's disclosed and sign up for additional crazy viral tales that shatter the you don't want to use the internet?